Monday Night Raw review. Welcome everybody to the Top Rope podcast show review, giving you my promo of the night, my match of the night, my wrestler of the night, and my overall grade right now here on the Top Rope podcast. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and please like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. Much obliged. The opening promo, you could argue, right out of the gate, we get our promo of the night, did we not? Drew McIntyre, everything he had to say, and the bracelet with the names of AJ and Larry on it, CM Punk's wife and dog, and the crowd chanting Larry was absolutely fantastic. I'm sure CM Punk was sitting at home. I don't know if he was drinking through a straw or not, if Drew McIntyre beat him down that bad, keeping it kayfabe here. But CM Punk had to have been smiling at home when the crowd was chanting Larry. I mean, the fact that he got a crowd to chant for a man's dog is great. It's great. Super fiery promo from Drew McIntyre. You could tell that he was believing absolutely everything that he said. And we'll see if he can qualify for Money in the Bank. That was one of the reasons he was out there. Say he was going to be entering the qualifier next week, triple threat match, on the go home Raw before Money in the Bank. I do think he will qualify. I don't think CM Punk comes and screws him out of qualifying. I think CM Punk comes to Money in the Bank. We get the trifecta of CM Punk screwing Drew McIntyre once again out of a shot at winning the title, or out of the title. He just keeps screwing him over. This will be the trifecta at Money in the Bank. Calling that right now. And then that will officially set up their match at SummerSlam. I think CM Punk he's probably cleared maybe at this point. If not, he's very, very close to being cleared. I think maybe he's in training now, or he's getting very, very, very close to be getting where he would be training for that match against Drew McIntyre. Still got, a month or two to go. So, maybe they're not quite, might just be getting back in ring shape. He's training on his own, then maybe get a little closer. Him and Drew McIntyre start training together for their perceived match at SummerSlam. It was a great way on SmackDown. I know we're doing a Raw review here, but to write CM Punk off the script for at least another week or two before Money in the Bank. If we don't, we got to see him at Money in the Bank, right? If Drew qualifies, we got to see him. Got to see him come out and screw Drew McIntyre out of being Mr. Money in the Bank. Be on the lookout. We'll be giving my Money in the Bank preview show next week. We might even do it this week as part of a Forbidden Door / Money in the Bank preview. Do it as a full episode of the Top Rope podcast. Haven't had an official episode in quite a long time. Just been doing these show reviews and specific show predictions. So maybe we'll get a full one going here later on this week, perhaps. But definitely going to be doing the predictions for the AEW pay-per-view, Forbidden Door, and WWE Money in the Bank coming right up around the corner. I am caught up on TNA Wrestling now as well, so we might be talking a little bit more here and there about TNA. They got some good things going on as well. But let's keep talking about Monday Night Raw. I'm going to give that Drew McIntyre promo an A. What about the way that the Wyatt Six was booked in this show? I did think, we saw Pat McAfee wasn't at ringside. I guess supposedly, I don't really follow super duper close on a lot of the social media stuff, but apparently my buddy was telling me that they've been targeting Pat McAfee, the Wyatt Six, on social media. I don't know if that, to what extent exactly, but that's just what he was telling me. And so is that why Pat Mac they didn't really want to say why Pat Mac was not on commentary? Was that the reason? I guess it kind of seems that way. Like it was in Indy, where he used to punt for the Colts at. So it's very surprising that he wasn't at that show. Was it just part of the storyline and he came out afterwards? Like, I don't know. I think he wasn't there. I think he had some, I don't know, maybe he had a something prior going on. It just made sense that they would keep him on. I feel like if he's there, they would have used him on commentary because they could have had the present presented to him and Pat and Matt be like, what's going on here? Why are you giving this to me? Because they just haven't done anything over the top to we're going to keep Pat Mack off the show because he's been getting targeted on social media. Like they didn't even say anything about that. They just kind of kept it hush hush. So, and they really haven't presented it as like this Wyatt Six are that big of a threat. Like, man, oh man, like I thought they would do a better job on Monday Night Raw than just having a couple security guys at ringside. We didn't even see any extra security too much. If we saw more on SmackDown, I think, than Monday Night Raw, having the extra security in the back and everything. Like, to me, I would have had the whole gorilla area on lockdown, man. That's where we saw that massacre at last week. But instead, we get freaking Chad Gable showing up to the building with just a little Band-Aid on his head. I'm going to hate on it here for just a second, but I did love it overall. He gets come with a Band-Aid on his freaking head. I'm like, dude, your Wikipedia page said you were dead, bro. Like, the way that massacre happened, they should be putting a lot more emphasis. Like, if they want to do what they did with everything tonight with the Wyatt Six, that's fine, but at least, and then kind of scale back the security and we go into just a normal storyline with them, that's fine. But if they do that massacre last week, the place should have been on freaking lockdown. And Chad Gable, everything they did, and him coming out and saying, "Oh, it's a miracle. Do you believe in miracles?" Like, I love that line. But it just didn't, like, dude, it looked like he got murdered. And so to me, you're making the Wyatt Six look kind of weak. The fact that you had Chad Gable walk with just a little Band-Aid on his head and then win the freaking qualifier. But everything after that, with Alpha Academy, Chad, realized, like you said, he saw his life flash before his eyes. So he's seems like maybe he is actually truly feeling bad about how he treated Otis and Maxine and Tozawa. So that little backstage with them and Otis saying, I'm glad you're all right, man. Like, but I still don't want to have nothing to do with you, is what Otis was saying. And then Maxine tells Chad that she was going to talk to him about it. So that storyline continues, and I don't know. It's intriguing for sure, but at the same time, like, to me, it was paid off. It was paid off with Otis getting out of there, and the crowd still popped whenever he said, "No, I still don't want to have anything to do with you." So it's like, to me, it's like, what's the ending of this? And to me, it's got to be Otis being a big baby face. The crowd loved him. Like I've talked about before, they loved him right before the pandemic. He was so hot. Arguably the hottest baby face in the entire company. Not 1, 2, or 3. Least at worst in the top 5. Definitely top 3 for me. They can get back to the top 5. He can get back to that upper tier. Maybe he's not booked like that. He's not really going to be probably a main eventer, but he can be a guy that gets some of the biggest pops and is a guy that everybody absolutely loves to see, and I think we're there with him. So, to me, you kind of run the risk of, if Maxine's going to try to talk about Gable or Otis getting back in there with Gable in the Alpha Academy, like, hopefully they pay it off with him just finally saying no. To Gable, like, says I'm sorry. But Otis keeps saying no. And then this could set up that swerve with Maxine, no. Possibly. And she ends up joining Chad Gable. But if you have him get beat down and then you have him really saying you're sorry, can you then go back to having him be the the manipulative heel. Interesting. It's very, very interesting, everything that's been going on with that. As far as, like I said, I did think it made the Wyatt Six look a little bit weak, but everything that was kind of coming out of that, they did tie it in there together. They at least tried to make up for it by saying, do you believe in miracles and everything else? But I think they did look kind of weak. It should have had the place on lockdown at least for a week or two. Like, there should have been made more out of that massacre. Because now we're moving forward with, we're kind of back to the beginning. Like, they made the big pop debut with what they did. They didn't put as much emphasis on it as I would have liked, but I'm very interested to see how it goes. I love the smoke in the ring with Sister Abigail or Nikki Cross, whatever we're calling her, Abby the Witch, whatever we're calling her. Love the smoke in the ring. Like, I'm trying to think back. I know it's probably happened before, but it's so very used, few and far between, that it seemed very, very unique. And her calling out there and then, giving the package to Michael Cole. And what a hell of a job tonight by Michael Cole on commentary, doing it solo. Everything that happened later, which I'm going to get to that. But, yeah, the way that was used, fine. Fine, you get Nikki on the TV doing that. It was great, and Smoke was great. And then the package that was played, I love how Michael Cole was describing what a VHS was for younger fans that they might not know what a VHS was. And like, we found an old VHS tape. Well, we can finally play it now. And oh my goodness. Realism, man. Realism. Like, I wanted to cry at times watching Bo Dallas. Or whatever, if we're going to call him by his real name. I don't know exactly, but I'm going to call him Bo Dallas for now because that was his character before. But they are talking about him and his brother. But yeah, just like Bray Wyatt did, with him and the Fiend character. And we saw both Bray Wyatt and the Fiend and bounce back and forth and have this dialogue, between fighting off the bad in his head and, so you can tell it's both of them. And like, it was pretty simple, to be honest with you, what they did, but it was so effective. It was so real. They just used what had actually happened with him dying. And then even the question marks of, like, are you just exploiting his legacy? Like, these are all like real questions that they probably asked before they decided to do this storyline. Like, do we want to do this? Like, man, are we paying homage to him? Are we what are we doing here exactly? Like, all questions that came up probably during them trying to figure out what they were going to do or if they were going to even do anything with Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six. And then when they pulled the trigger, yes, it's like, yeah, you got to explore those questions of what happened in your mind and this whole back and forth now with Bo and with Uncle Howdy. Very, very intriguing. I love it. I love it. It's not been exactly perfect so far with the Wyatt Six in their short time, but it's been very, very effective. I'm on board for it. It's so good that I'm willing, I'll talk about the negatives and the little small things here and there, but I'm just kind of nitpicking and nothing's going to be perfect. And for the most part, I am locked in. I'm locked in on what's happening with the Wyatt Six, and I'm loving it. I am also loving Braun Breaker as of late. We're going to get to the main event here in a little bit, but him and Ludwig Kaiser, we get the interference again, second time in a row. But then Braun going back, getting his match. Sami Zayn face to face. Oh, nobody around here. Give me my match. Giving him his match. It's official for Money in the Bank. Prediction for Money in the Bank. Going to interfere. More interference. It's going to set up a fatal four-way. Kaiser, Breaker, Sheamus, and Sami Zayn at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship. That's my prediction for that. As far as who wins, well, we'll get to that a little bit later on. But I like the way Braun's being booked so far. Just kind of scrolling through here. Lyra Valkyrie, Money in the Bank qualifier. No doubt she would win. Poor old Shayna Baszler. I think at least she didn't take the pin this time. Kairi Sane took the pin. And Damage Control, we see them, a little bit later. And was it after that match? Or it might have been later on in a different match, but getting the beat down, because they said last week, something's got to change in Damage Control. So they attacked, I think it was, the tag team match later on. They got involved in. I'm really liking Fire and Dawn as a tag team champions. I liked them before. I thought maybe, they're just giving them the win because they had to give the fans in Glasgow, Scotland, at least one happy moment. But, even if that was the case, I think Fire and Dawn are making the most out of it so far. Really like their entrance. I've liked them from the get-go. And, they're not doing bad work. Lyra Valkyrie's not doing bad work. I'm a fan of her entrance as well. It was a pretty damn good match between those ladies. We get Liv Morgan, man. I mean, the Judgment Day and Liv Morgan, wow. Just so intriguing. And she's just weaseling her way in, man. What's she doing all this for? Is she really trying to be? Does she really like Dom? Or is she just doing all this to piss off Rhea Ripley? To me, that's the question. But I love the fact that they got the titles off of Awesome Truth. I just didn't feel like their reign as tag team champions was doing anything at all for me. I love them, got both those guys individually, but meh. So the fact that they set that up and use the tag team titles as just one as part of the Judgment Day storyline, and Liv helping them get the match and then helping them win the titles, brilliant. It's really, really good. With the way that thing was booked, I am going to give that my match of the night, new tag team champions with Finn Balor and J.D. McDonough. Because, this really sets it up too now. Well, it's like Damian Priest says, they need me. I'm the champion. I don't need them. Well, now guess what? Now they're champions as well. So now they might need each other. And then we're going to probably have a moment, everything that was set up between Seth and Damian. Wow. Seth wins. Damian's out of the Judgment Day. If Damian wins, Seth doesn't get another shot as long as Damian's the champion. Just tie me storylines together, the thread of how everything ties together and these storylines and how they interweave and cross, and getting another match between Rey and Dom. Just good stuff. Good stuff going on Monday Night Raw. Hope I didn't miss anything too much. Pretty much covered everything, I think, in bits and pieces. Wrestler of the night. Well, I don't know. Man, that's a tough one. So many to choose from. I'm going to go Uncle Howdy, just because I really like the video, and, I can't do it. If I'm doing promos, it's got to be in the ring. I could start a vignette of the night, but I'm not going to do that. But I think with the story that was told with Bo and Uncle Howdy, I'm going to go them as my quote-unquote wrestler of the night. And I'm giving Raw an A. SmackDown got an A on Friday. Raw got an A. It is very few and far between where shows get back-to-back A's. Now, we'll see if SmackDown can get another A on Friday. And I think I might have gave Raw... No, I gave Raw an A last week with the debut of the Wyatt. So back-to-back A's on Raws. That's, if we get 3 in a row next week on Raw, watch out. Watch out. This shit's so good lately. So good. And that's how it was. It seemed like every week we were getting an A plus, at worst a B plus, back in the Attitude Era and everything that went on then. Every freaking week, something new, and exciting, cliffhangers or guys coming back or debuts or just, eye-popping, wow, holy crap moments every single week. Like, I feel like we're starting to see that again. And it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be a wrestling fan. Glad you're on here with me on the ride for the Top Rope Podcast. Don't forget to hit thumbs up, like, follow, and subscribe. Much obliged. God bless.